So a lot of you guys have been tagging me in the allegations being made about Alex. And honestly, I did not want to touch this story until I talked to the women myself. So yes, I personally talked to 6 of the women who came forward and made allegations about Alex. They were able to provide some level of receipts. The events happened over a decade ago, so they were able to gather what they could. We're going to go over it all here today. There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to go over, but trust me, you're going to want to watch this video. So starting from the beginning, if you have no idea what's going on, Alex from Love is Blind Season 8 was posted in the Are We Dating the Same Guy Minneapolis group. He was posted back in June, so this is before the season cast was announced. This is before he was on the season 7 reunion. It is before anybody knew who he was. When he was posted in this group, a lot of anonymous users came forward with some very serious allegations against Alex. Pause to read, but it's probably nothing you haven't seen already up until this point. Some of the women actually located me and I was able to locate the rest. To get a little bit more context behind these allegations, here's what I found. So here we go. I knew Alex October 2015, April 2016. I was one of the girls who would party with him. I was 17. There were other high schooler guys and girls, all 15 to 17. I remember Alex, we called him Brownie. Alex gave us free booze and I believe weed whenever we went over. I'm not even kidding. The walls would be lined with alcohol. I knew he would be alone with minors, girls at these parties in the basement. I've been doing some digging and I found the house that he was renting. So I did ask 2 of the women if they were able to locate where these parties took place. It's worth mentioning that 2 of the women were able to look at pictures that they took from this home. And you know, an iPhone geotags the location or tells where a photo was taken. And 2 separate women were able to identify the same house. This is one woman, as you can see, it's on 10th by St. Bonaventure Church, which you can see in the corner there. This is an entirely different victim, St. Bonaventure Church and 10th Street. It's worth mentioning that one of the geotagged photos that I just showed you was timestamped December 12th, 2015, making Alex at the time 20 years old. One of the victims was able to provide a photo from these parties. Everybody's face has been blocked out, obviously, because they are minors, but you can see that there is tons of alcohol. I do have the address of this home, which is publicly listed as one of Alex's previous addresses. I did block out the address, but as you can see, this location is the same location that is on 10th Avenue that the victims' photos were pinging from. And from the pictures provided, you can see that this is the same home, same living room. Previous addresses are public record, so it is public record that this address is listed as a previous address for Alex. Before you say, how do we know that it's the same Alex Brown? The address listed right beneath it is also a previous address of Alex that I have a lease agreement for. Just so we know that we're talking about the same Alex here, and that address does actually link back to the Alex Brown in question. Here is a contract for another previous address of Alex. Some of the victims were able to provide multiple pictures from this home and these parties where you can clearly see a lot of alcohol and teenagers. This is just for context, again for context, again for context. Now it is unclear what transpired at these parties or in the basement of these parties, but what is clear is that parties were taking place at a location that Alex is linked to, and alcohol was provided to minors. It is also worth mentioning that no criminal charges have been filed against Alex, and there are no police reports or incident reports on file for Alex. I did check. Now, here's where things take a turn. You guys know on the show how Alex mentioned that he had a girlfriend for 2 years and she cheated on him the whole time and gave this whole sob story to garner sympathy. Well, I spoke to this ex-girlfriend and she gave me a little bit more details on their relationship. Now, she did provide photos of the 2 of them together, which I am not going to show here. She did provide proof that her and Alex were actually in a relationship. And this is what she shared with me. She said that he was obsessed with making her look younger. He asked her to wear her hair a certain way, asked her to get braces, and he requested that she dress younger. She said that one day they were out on a date. She was wearing a dress and wedges and they saw a young girl. She said to her knowledge, she looked about 13 to 14 years old, who was wearing skinny jeans, Converse, and a crop top. And he said, you should dress more like that. She also said that when together, he liked watching young porn. Told her that you can just type young after any search watching. They will give you searches of people who look really young. She said that when they were together, that Alex warned her that there might be young girls coming forward accusing him of certain things and to ignore them because they are all young girls who were obsessed with him. She did go on to say that she was a TA in college and she would often read some of Alex's essays and just give her feedback on them. And she said that for his environmental ethics class at Normandale College, he had an essay on utilitarianism and how stealing someone's food and replacing it before they notice is the same as SAing someone in their sleep and them having no idea that they were SA'd. For context, utilitarianism is a theory that states that the best action is one that produces the most good for the most people. So I guess the point of the paper was to take a small example and apply it to an extreme and see if the result still applies when applied to an extreme. Now, while I don't have access to the paper itself, I do have a text thread conversation where she raises her concerns about this paper. Okay, so let's get into these text messages. Before anybody says, how do we know that this is Alex? I asked for the phone number, and this number is publicly linked to the Alex Brown. As you can see here, he says, do you want to read my essay? I used the grape during sleep argument, might get an F. She says, oh my God, let me read it. Also be careful because your teacher might report it. He says the guideline for the essay is to come up with an actual situation in my life that I'm not sure was either morally right or wrong and to analyze it from the lens of a utilitarian. It's just a first draft. She says, very interesting. If utilitarianism benefits everyone, how was the grape beneficial to the girl? He sends a face and says, did you read it? She says, yes, I'm talking about the last sentence in your conclusion. He says it's irrelevant because there was no effect for the girl. Just like me throwing my trash in the garbage, no effect for everyone else. She goes on to say, sure, but according to your conclusion, it benefits everyone. He goes on to say it doesn't have to benefit everyone. I never said that. She says, got ya. If there is an effect on a person from your action, it should be positive. If there is no effect, then it doesn't matter because it's irrelevant. Again, she's just raising concerns on this paper in general. Taking advantage of someone in that context then has a lot of meaning and it just leaves me a little confused. He says, how? She says, taking advantage of a coward, I believe that's supposed to say coworker, by taking their food versus taking advantage of a girl by putting your inside of her while she's unconscious. Both are two different extremes. So again, they're going back and forth about the topic of this paper. You can pause to read if you want to read the rest. So this is all Alex. He's telling her that because she doesn't agree with the paper that he's worried that she might have autism. Since there is no negative outcome for the victim, therefore, so I take the same theory and apply it to a very serious issue, SA. So again, a very concerning conversation. I'm not saying this proves anything. I'm not making any implications here. I'm just showing you an alarming conversation that raised some eyebrows in her mind as well. Mixed with all of the other allegations, it definitely is concerning. Got a 79 out of 80 on the paper. In this text thread, the victim confided in him that she had been SA'd at 9 years old. He says, do you think it negatively impacted your life? She says, not as much as it could have. I repressed the memory so much that sometimes I forget it ever happened actually. It's so disgusting and horrible. He says that guy is crazy to do that shit at a public pool. What a weird thing. Not do it at all in a public pool. The most concerning part is he says, were you asking for it? I'm kidding. I'm so sorry. I didn't expect this video to get this long. There is more. Go to part 2. Okay guys, so here is part 2 of the allegations that are going around about Alex right now. If you missed part 1, I encourage you to go back and watch it as we did unpack a lot of things there. We covered the alleged house parties that have been circulating online, accompanied by receipts, and we uncovered some text messages that an alleged ex of Alex found concerning, and she shared and addressed that concern. She also shared with me that Alex seemingly asked her to role play as if they were in middle school. As you can see from the text, he says, pretend we are in middle school and I just got your number from your friend and I have a huge crush on you and we are finally texting. She says, oh my God, okay, cute. And he starts with the role play. Now, she did say that her going along with this is a reflection of her trauma bond to Alex, and she often felt like if she didn't go along with these things that he would get upset with her. She says that she did tell Alex that she cheated on him so that he would leave her. She said she does think that she suffered from some form of Stockholm syndrome and had on rose-colored glasses during her relationship with Alex, and she is still processing and working through what went down during her relationship with Alex in therapy. Another young woman reached out to me that met Alex on Hinge in 2018. She did provide a snapshot of their initial hearing on Hinge to confirm that she met him. She does tell me that Alex confided in her about something disturbing, something that he described as a mental illness that he cannot control. And now, while there's nothing to show that he confided in her about anything specific, what I do have is a text thread between the two of them where she expresses to him how what he confided in her about was triggering for her. And it was triggering for her because she was SA'd at a young age. And she shares that she's experienced a lot of guilt over the years for not expressing this or telling somebody about what he told her sooner. I am going to share those texts with you now. Trigger warning to anyone who may be sensitive to this information. Again, this phone number has been confirmed and linked to a known phone number of Alex. This is the phone number, and this is the phone number linking it to Alex. So for context again, Alex confided in her about something disturbing, something that he described as a mental illness. She often was triggered by this because she was SA'd at a young age. She didn't know that what Alex confided in her would be so triggering for her. So she oftentimes hit him up and let him know how it was triggering for her. That is what we're reading here. Okay, so we can see here, you cannot even conceive of why what you told me could be triggering is beyond me. It's not BS because it's literally what actual trauma looks like, especially when it's been deeply repressed. I'm sorry, you're right. You couldn't have known. I just didn't know either. And you were a constant reminder. And when I tried to step away from that, you guilted me. You never even gave me time to process it before. You just assumed it was okay. But God, that you could possibly believe that this could in no way possibly trigger someone who was raped at that exact same effing age isn't effing rocket science, Alex. I'm sorry, but you don't get to invalidate this. Again, it's very vague. It's not specific to what they're referring to, but from the context of this text, you can tell that she is saying something you told me triggered me. He goes on to say, I'm sorry, but I have almost lost all respect for you. In no way did I do anything bad. I have always done things to be helpful and make people happy. She says, I'm not blaming you. I'm sorry. I'm leaving. That's fine. He says, I told you a struggle that I'm dealing with deep down. So he does admit that he told her a struggle that he's dealing with deep down. Again, very vague. She goes on to say, but that was an effing trigger. He says, don't make that about yourself. And she says, and you don't get to determine that. He says, I do not care. That's not the point. She goes on to say, you can't even get the opinion from someone else on who's right here because no one else knows. Why do you think that is? He goes on to say, it absolutely should not be a trigger. If I told you that I graped someone, then maybe it could be a trigger. Or if I graped someone in front of you. I have and never will grape anyone. I told you about an idea that has nothing to do with you. You should be supporting me instead of blaming and shaming me. Shame on you for doing what you are doing. She says, I just got told by another person that it is a trigger. Google it, Alex. Jesus Christ, I'm done. Goodbye. You're right. This isn't worth it. Goodbye, Alex. And then you can see what he says here. Here is another text exchange. I don't know how it fits into the thread, but you can go ahead and read it. Clearly, this woman was very triggered about something that Alex confided in her in a secret. I described it as something disturbing, something that Alex himself described as a mental illness. She was specific with me about what he confided in her, but I am not going to say it here since there is no proof of it. So I will let you, come to your own conclusions about what he confided in her in about. So that is some more text for context. He also said that Alex confided in her that he believes that he is a sociopath. And again, these women tried their best to provide any receipts and evidence that they had that this man said these things to them. So here's a text thread. If I had done something wrong to you, I would have apologized, as I have no problem apologizing when I am objectively wrong. You want somebody who accepts your strong emotions and who can comfort and accept you regardless, but I am not that person. So it goes on to say, I do not care in the slightest bit if your friends think that I am a sociopath because I understand the underlying fallacies that you have enforced that explain those opinions. My life is lived for the achievement of personal happiness, and so whatever I am, I am. And also, there is nothing inherently wrong with being a sociopath, and it can actually very easily be seen as a major advantage in today's society, as most successful/famous people are sociopaths. Again, these texts are confirmed to be coming from Alex. Phone number, proof that it's Alex. Again, I'm not here to make any implication, so do what you want with the information. I always say that when there is smoke, there is fire, and that there is no way that multiple women came forward with very similar stories about a guy that wasn't even announced on the cast yet, and that there was no truth to it. So hopefully these receipts that I have provided and the text exchanges that you read today, you're able to form your own opinion on what you believe was going on. Again, I would like to state that no formal complaints or incident reports were found on Alex. I was not able to obtain any. Was not able to find any criminal filings against him. Now, while I wasn't able to find any formal complaints or filings, I do believe that there might be something out there, because as you can see here, Alex is talking about just talking to one of the best defense attorneys in Minnesota. And he's seemingly talking about, he said, it could be up to 3 weeks before they charge me, and the police could just show up at my door at any minute. So I feel like there might be something out there. I just wasn't able to find it. This would also mean that he would be able to clear a background check. There's also this text thread where he was freaking out about his Facebook account being disabled. And you can see here that he says, now I'm going to be sitting in bed shaking all night because I'm worried that blank, which was another ex-girlfriend that I reached out to, but she did not respond. So I'm guessing she didn't want to talk, called the police, and they are going to be looking through my Facebook and are going to come to my house again. So something has happened. It's not clear what, but I wasn't able to find anything. And again, I don't know what this is in reference to exactly, but some type of legal trouble with the law. If someone finds something, send it my way. I'm just sharing with you guys what I discovered. Something that's much less important is that Alex did say on Love is Blind that he was wildly unpopular, wore a purple sweater to school every day, was bullied, had an afro. In high school, girls laughed at him. He ate his lunch in the bathroom, and pictures of him circulated from high school, and none of those things appear to be true. He was actually wildly popular. He actually had a music video, which we posted on the Reality Receipts podcast page, where he seems to be very, very popular. I just want to thank all of the women who I spoke with for coming forward and being brave enough to tell their story. I know it hasn't been easy. I know a lot of you have expressed how this has impacted your entire life. Thank you so much for trusting me to tell your story. And sometimes we have to just believe women, because there's not always going to be a receipt to show that something happened. Sometimes the word of a woman is enough. I'm with you. I trust you. I believe you. And thank you again. Oh, and there's also a text of him using the N-word. Bye.